Hello, this is a second part video on the glutes. If you haven't seen my first video on the glutes, then do check that one out here. In that video, I go through the importance of these muscles and how they relate to different parts of the body and why it is that you can do many different strengthening exercises and not get any results. So do check that one out first before going forward with this one. In this video, I'm going to go through my top 8 exercises, top 8 strengthening exercises to build strength within these muscles, and one of the vital things you have to do before doing these strengthening exercises, which I'll go through and show you in more detail. So just to summarize, your glutes are located on your buttocks, and they're the muscles that are going to bring your leg backwards when you walk and also sideways. They're the ones that are going to keep your low back level, and they control things like your knee and your ankle, and they also have a very vital importance in your shoulder. So we do have a lot of exercises to get through, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get started. Hello, my name is Dr. Stephen Hume. I'm a chiropractor. I'm based in Reading, and thank you again for tuning in to this video, because this is going to be a very vital video, particularly if you haven't got strong glutes, because weakness in these muscles can cause things like knee pain, ankle issues, it can cause low back issues, and it can even cause shoulder problems. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to strengthen these muscles. Before you strengthen the muscles though, and this is what I explained on the previous video, you have to stretch the antagonist. This is going to give you much better results. So the two antagonist muscles for the glutes are going to be your hip flexors and your adductors. So the hip flexors are the muscles that bring your legs upwards, and your adductors bring your legs across your body. There are many different ways you can stretch these muscles. As an example, for the hip flexors, you can do this in a lunge position. And if you put your arm over your head, this is going to give you an extra stretch, particularly within your iliopsoas. And then for your adductors, you can sit with the soles of your feet coming together. And so then the knees coming downwards will then stretch your adductors. Now, there are many different ways you can stretch these muscles, so you can look for different stretching exercises. But in this video, we're going to go through the strengthening exercises. So the first strengthening exercise that I would recommend is going to be a glute bridge. So with this exercise, what you're going to do is lie on your back, put your feet flat on the floor, and before we go forwards with this exercise, we want to make sure that we are stimulating the right muscle. When we do this exercise, we can very easily stimulate the hamstrings as well as the low back, but we want to concentrate everything onto the buttock muscles. So what I want you to do first is just to clench your muscles with both sides. So clench and then hold for a couple of seconds and then relax. Repeat that about 10 times before you go forwards with this exercise. Once you've done that, then what you want to do is clench these muscles, and then you want to bring your pelvis upwards. So it's a 2-part exercise. So you clench your muscles. As soon as you've done that, then you bring your whole pelvis up, so you're relatively flat at the top. Hold for 2 seconds, making sure that all the power comes through your glutes, and then slowly come down. A lot of people will make the mistake in slumping down, in going too fast on the way down. So make sure it's nice and slow and controlled, and then you can repeat that 12 times. Once that becomes easy, then you can take one foot off the floor, just very slightly. So then you're working on one side. So again, 2 parts. You're going to clench just that one side. So we'll start with the left side, and then you bring up the pelvis again. So you're just working on that left glute, and in your mind, just focus on your glutes and take your attention away from your hamstrings and your back, so you get as much stimulation and power coming from your glutes. Then again, slowly down, and then you can repeat that for the right side. And again, I would do 12 on each side, or whatever you're able to do. The second exercise then will be a lunge. This is good to do after the glute bridge, after you got used to stimulating this muscle. And what you're going to do with the lunge, like any lunge, is that you can just take one foot, put it in front of you, and then you're going to go straight down, making sure your knee doesn't go past your toes, and making sure the knee doesn't sway inwards or outwards. And you're going to go then straight down, and you should feel that on the side that you stepped forwards with. Then you come back up, and then you can repeat that for the second one. The third exercise I recommend will be a squat. Now with a squat, and similarly with the lunge, you have to make sure that you know how to do this correctly and that you're doing it correctly, because you can very easily hurt yourself if you're not doing it correctly. So it might be good to get somebody that knows how to do these movements to watch you and to correct you. But I'll briefly go through how you can squat here. So what you're going to do is just stand with your feet shoulder width apart. You're then going to imagine, the best way of thinking about this is imagining that you're about to sit down. Most people make the mistake that their knees come so far forwards. You want to imagine that you're sitting down. So all the motion has to come from your hips and from your knees and not from your back. You're keeping your spine straight. So then you come backwards, bending your knees and your hips, and you just go as far as your hips will allow you. If you go too far, you'll end up bending your low back. You want to make sure that your weight is more on the heels and that you're sticking the chest up and outwards and that you're nicely well balanced. Then you can then bring yourself back up. Again, making sure all the power here comes through the glutes. Particularly when you come back up, you want to make sure you're coming through your hips and not through your back. Again, do make sure you get somebody to help you with this exercise. Now, these first 3 exercises are really great for the glute max. This is the muscle that's on the back of your buttocks, and this is the one that mainly does the extension. The next lot of exercises we're going to do are more concentrated towards your glute medius and your glute minimus. These are the ones that are going to bring your legs outwards, or more importantly, are going to stabilize your pelvis and your low back. So that, for example, if you take a leg off the floor when you're just standing, so if you do a one-legged standing balance, your hips won't just slump downwards. If you want to increase the stimulation of the glute medius, when you do particularly the first 2 exercises that I've just gone through, one of the things that you can do is put a band around your knees. That's going to force your knees inwards, which is going to mean you're going to have to push your knees outwards, which is going to help to stimulate your glute medius and minimus while you're training your glute maximus. The 4th exercise is going to be clam shells. So what you're going to do with this one is you're going to lie on your side. You're going to have your hip and your knee at 90-90 and laying on top of each other so they're parallel. You're going to put a band around your knees, and then keeping the bottom knee on the floor, you're going to raise your top knee all the way as far as you can, so you'll be stretching that band, and you're going to feel that on your glute medius on the top leg. Then come down nice and slowly. Again, don't come too fast with this one. And all these exercises, do them at a slow pace and then repeat that 12 times. You can then swap over and do that on the other side. Exercise number 5 is you're going to use a TheraBand again, so a stretchy band. You're going to put it around your knees, and then you're going to go walk sideways. So with this one, you want to make sure that you're keeping your knee and your ankle relatively straight, so they're not bending side to side. You want to lead with your knee and keep your other leg nicely stabilized. This one tends to do both at the same time, but you'll most likely feel this more on the foot that is staying planted when you move to the side. So what I recommend is do 5 or so on one side, and then you go the other way. So you're making sure that you're doing as many going to one side than you are going to the other side, so it's even on both sides. Exercise number 6 is, again, you're going to lie on your side, and what you're going to do is straighten your top leg, so your knees straight, and then turn your toes so they're slightly pointing forwards, and then bring your leg slightly backwards. This is going to make sure that you stimulate your glute medius and not your TFL, which is a little bit more forward. So make sure you're pointing downwards with the toe and a little bit behind your pelvis. Then you simply just bring that leg straight up into the air, hold for a couple of seconds, and then slowly come down again. You should feel that on the side of your buttocks, so where your glute medius and your glute minimus is. Repeat that 12 times and then turn onto the other side and repeat 12 times on that side as well. Exercise number 7 is going to be a little bit more functional. All these are fairly functional. This is going to be a bit more functional. What you're going to do with this one is just stand on one leg. So this is going to be a one-legged standing balance. So you can stand on one leg, and you can actually do a little exercise where you just move your toe in kind of a clockwise position. So you can do a 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and a 6 o'clock, and maybe even a 9 o'clock if you can reach there. And you can go round. And what that's going to do is you come onto one leg. So when you come onto your left leg, it's going to stimulate your glute medius, because your glute medius on that left side has to contract to make sure that your pelvis doesn't drop down on the right side. And as you move that other foot, you're just going to challenge it then a little bit further. I recommend doing that for 30 seconds to 60 seconds and then repeat that on the other side. Exercise number 8, then the last one, it's going to be a one-legged squat hold. So what you're going to do is just put a leg on a bench or against the wall, and then the other one you're going to put forwards in front of you, and you're going to squat down like we did before, but you're going to hold it mid squat or mid, let's say, lunge. Hold it for 10, 15, 20 seconds or so, making sure that you're really stimulating the glute on the side that your leg is forwards. Hold it there as long as you can, and hopefully you'll be able to build this up a little bit, and then you can switch that onto the other side. This is going to be a bit more of a isometric exercise because you're holding the tension but you're not changing the length. So that concludes all the exercises. I tend to do all of these within the week. I would do these kind of exercises most days, and I would do a variety of them. My strategy is to do 12 of each rather than doing 12 3 times, because I want to try and train it in different ways. If there's one that I'm really getting on with, that I really feel is stimulating my glute in the right way, I might do it 2 or 3 sets. But generally, I try to have a variety, because we know that if we train a muscle in a variety of different ways, we tend to get much better results. So I hope that's helpful. Make sure that you do the stretching or the antagonist before you do these exercises, and then you should find really great results within the preceding weeks. It's not going to happen instantly, so you do have to give it some time. If you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. Again, if you haven't seen my first video, then check that out here, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.